the world, all of them, all those who are connecting with us right now to discover the greatness of the Creator. Throughout our preparation, Mach 10N, Moscow 3, we looked for a way to the greatness of the Creator to find that place, and every word the friends said as we prepared served as an example in which we saw how the Creator connected us together into one single flow, and we saw how the greatness of the Creator is revealed in us, turning us into one man, one heart. Now the friends from Moscow will continue the preparation and read an excerpt from Abash's Article 30, What to Look for in the Assembly of Friends. The friends' discussions of the greatness of the Creator awaken a desire and yearning to kneel before the Creator, because he begins to feel longing and desire to bond with the Creator. And we should also remember that to the extent that the friends can appreciate the importance and greatness of the Creator, we should still go above reason, meaning that the Creator is higher than any greatness of the Creator than one can imagine. And we should say that we believe above reason that he leads the world in a benevolent guidance. And if one believes that the Creator wants only man's best, it makes a person love the Creator until he is rewarded with quote, "And you will love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul," end quote. And this is what a person must receive from the friends. Article 30. What to look for in the assembly of friends. Again, the friends' discussions of the greatness of the Creator awaken a desire and yearning to kneel before the Creator, because he begins to feel longing and desire to bond with the Creator. And we should also remember that to the extent that the friends can appreciate the importance and greatness of the Creator, we should still go above reason, meaning that the Creator is higher than any greatness of the Creator than one that one can imagine. We should say that we believe above reason that he leads the world in a benevolent guidance. And if one believes that the Creator wants only man's best, it makes a person love the Creator until he is rewarded with quote, "And you will love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul," end quote. And this is what a person must receive from the friends. Question for an active workshop. Each friend shares the greatness and importance of the Creator. Each friend shares the greatness and importance of the Creator. We have been awarded with being in a society that yearns to discover the Creator. The Creator awakened our points in the hearts in each one of us, and we have the ability to discover the Creator, the Creator's greatness through the friends, specifically through the investment of each and everyone, through the uniqueness of each and everyone. And we want to connect more and more, so that through that connection we will discover the Creator, and this attests to the greatness of the Creator, the extent to which he wants us to discover him even in this world through the connection between friends. All the friends got an invitation here from the upper force to come and be like him and reveal the quality of love and bestow. And he influences us to the friends, teaching us how to unite the hearts and teaching us how to love the other. But I say, the light is in absolute rest, and so as if it cares about nothing. And suddenly it starts to restrict itself and to create something and to limit itself and do all kinds of things that are not like the light, but only in order to bring to create us. And it's in order to raise us, and up the degrees to himself. It's all just for us. It's amazing. And for that we have the society. The Creator brought us to a society from which we can receive the greatness and the yearning to reach the source, the origin. And we can see that in the devotion of the friends. Friends, let's enter the lesson prayer and gratitude to the Creator. Writes in Shamarti the matter of spiritual attainment. May we merit receiving his light and following the ways of the Creator, to serve him, not in order to receive reward, but to give contentment to the Creator and raise the from the dust. May we be rewarded with attention with the Creator and the revelation of his godliness to his creatures. Heat. Your offence. In the first part of the lesson, we will watch a recorded lesson from the 27th of February, 2003. This will be on Abashar's Article 33, the felons of Israel, which we will now be together in. The 10 who have finished reading earlier are welcome to start a workshop summarizing the main points of the article. The fellows of Israel, said the FS of Israel, the light of hell does not cover them, much less from the altar of gold. The best of Israel are full of commandments like pomegranate, as it's written, your temple is like a slice of pomegranate. Do not pronounce it your temple, but empty. And you are full of commandments like a pomegranate all the more. So concerning the felons of Israel, we should understand with respect to whom they are called the felons of Israel. One is it with respect to the Torah, two with respect to the whole of Israel that they are regarded as the felons of Israel, or three or with respect to the individual himself, that is he sees and feels about himself that he is the felons of Israel. Superficially, it is difficult to see how one can be full of he regarded as the felons of Israel. If we interpret this with respect to the person himself, we can say and interpret, quote, although they are full of commandments like a pomegranate, end quote, to mean that he sees that he is still the felons of Israel. We should interpret pomegranate through the word deceit. That is, he sees that he is deceiving himself, meaning that although he is full of commandments, namely, he sees that he has nothing more to add in quantity, and according to his efforts, he should certainly have been Israel by now, meaning straight towards the Creator, where everything is for the Creator. Yet after his self-scrutiny, he sees that he is deceiving himself, that the main reason he engages in Torah and commandments is self-love, and not in order to bestow contentment upon his Maker, which is called, meaning that all his work goes straight to the Creator. In sense, he saw that all his work was only in order to receive. He saw that he was a felon with regard to Israel, that is, he does not want his work to be for Abba, called in order to bestow on the Creator. Rather, all his work is on the basis of keeping everything below, which is regarded as a receiver, because the receiver is regarded as being of inferior importance, and the giver is of superior importance. This extends from the root. Since the Creator is the giver, he is regarded as above. The creature who receives from the Creator is regarded as being of inferior importance. Hence, if his work is in order to receive, he's regarded as wanting his work in Torah and commandments to remain below, meaning in reception. And this is called transgressing in the aspect of Israel. For instead of serving the Creator where he wants to work to bestow upon the Creator, he does the opposite, wanting the Creator to serve man. And since they said that nothing is given for free, but the reward is given according to the labor, as is done in the physical world, this is how he wants to labor. He works for the Creator on condition that the Creator will pay for his labor. Otherwise he will have no strength to make any movement without reward. However, how can one come to see the truth that he is deceiving himself concerning the quality of the goal, and cannot do the holy work in truth? Our sages said in a regard that one cannot see the truth before one has light. That is, one sees that he's doing many commandments, meaning that he's full of deeds, and sees no place where he can do more deeds that will help him become Israel, meaning only to bestow without any need for self-love. He does not see that he will ever achieve this by himself unless he has help from above. It is impossible that men will be able to do this. It follows that the commandments he has done caused him to see the truth, that thus far he was fooling himself, thinking that a person can obtain the force that changes the intention to bestow by himself. Now he has come to realize that this is not the case. Now we can interpret, quote, even the empty ones among you are full of commandments, like a pomegranate, end quote. It means that even though they are full of commandments, they feel that they are empty because they see that they are like a pomegranate. From the words I call to my lovers, they deceived me, ending deceit, whose work in Torah and commandments was only for their own benefit and not to benefit the Creator. But who caused him to know this? It is precisely that he is full of commandments. This caused him to see that he should not fool himself into thinking that he can become Israel. Instead, now he sees that he is the felons of Israel. It turns out that it is impossible to obtain real knowledge of one's degree in spirituality unless he's full of commandments. At that time he sees his state, that until now he was in deceit, and now he's in the degree of the felons of Israel. But without commandments it's regarded as being without light, and then one cannot see the truth that he needs the Creator to help him become Israel. However, we should know that saying that if he is full of commandments, then he sees that he is as a pomegranate comes with a stipulation. It is said specifically when he is a person who is seeking the truth at that time, it is said that one who seeks the truth still cannot see the truth before he is full of commandments, but not before. Hence this requires two things. One, on the one hand, he needs to engage in Torah and commandments as much as he can without any criticism, whether it is on the path of truth or not. Only after the fact can he conduct criticism, but not while engaging in Torah and commandments. For at that time he needs to feel himself in wholeness. As our sages said, quote, one should always engage in Torah and commandments lishma, not for her sake, because from lishma we come to lishma for her sake. End quote. Thus, for now, it is unimportant how he is engaging, because in any manner of engagement, he is keeping the words of our sages. 2. After the fact, he must criticize himself to see if his actions were for the Creator or if something else was involved in it. From the two of them, he can come to being as a pomegranate, according to what we explained above. By this we will understand the words of our sages. Our sages said when Rabbi then were caught, woe unto me, for I was caught for one thing, I am not saved. You engage in Torah and good deeds, and I engaged only in the Jua. It is said, anyone who engages only in Torah is as one who has no God. As it was said in many days for Israel, without a true God, without a teaching priest, and without Torah, what is without a true God? Ronner said, anyone who engages only in Torah is as though he has no God, and we should understand why, if he does not engage in good deeds, he is one who has no God. Also perplexing, why specifically the commandment of good deeds? After all, that there are other commandments that need to be observed. So why specifically good deeds is akin to being without a true God? It is as though by good deeds it is possible to tell if the Torah he is learning is without a true God. According to what we learn, all our work is in order to achieve equivalence of form regarded as quote, as he is merciful, so you be merciful, end quote. For this reason, during the study of Torah, one must not criticize his Torah, meaning whose Torah he's learning, and then he can learn even lishma, which is also a commandment, as our sages said, quote, one should always engage in Torah and commandments, even lishma, since from lishma he will come to end. This is so when he tests himself, his situation with regard to equivalence of form, how remote he has become from self-love, how close he has become to love of others, which is the meaning of cleaving to his qualities. This is why he makes the precision that the main thing to know is to test himself through the quality of how much he engages in it, exerting for it, and contemplating various tactics and tricks to achieve equivalence of form, or he will not reach the path of truth. It follows that at that time he does not have a true God, for true means, as is explained. Quote, the 7th correction of the 13 corrections of Dikna is called and truth. End quote. He interprets therein inner reflection. Quote, at that time appears the quality of the Creator who has created the world with the intention to do good to his creations, since at that time appears the light of which is the light of the purpose of creation, when everyone feels the delight and pleasure. At that time, everyone says with clear cognizance that this, meaning the goal, is true. End quote. It follows that if he does not engage in good deeds, which is the power that can bring to love of others, by which he will acquire vessels of bestow, as the upper abundance is drawn only into these vessels. If he has no vessels of soul, he cannot acquire the delight and pleasure that the Creator created in order to delight his creatures. It follows that in that state, a person is regarded as being without a true God. That is the reality of his guidance, which is to do good to his creations, is God forbid untrue. This is called without a true God. This can be obtained precisely by engaging in good deeds. However, without Torah, it is impossible to know one's state, meaning where he is, since without light, it is impossible to see anything, rather, to see that he is a felon of Israel. he needs to be full of commandments, meaning both commandments of learning, Torah, and the rest of the commandments. The test is that after some time of engaging in Torah and commandments, he needs to examine, but not during his work. It's a very important article, because it speaks of the typical mistake students have, because each one by nature latches onto a state that's more suitable for him. One invests more in study. One more invest in the attitude toward friends, as he says here, which is mercy. Acts of mercy with us, for us it's acts toward the friend. Another one focuses on a dissemination. Then he says that if he does not unite everyone together and invests in everything equally, and only then next criticism, of course, it's going to let him work, then it's possible he will discover his state of truth, and then the light will influence him, and maybe he will receive correction. We will now begin the lesson from February 27th, 2003. So the felons of Israel. Who are the fence of Israel? With respect to the Torah, or with respect to the whole of Israel, or is it with respect to the individual? It all depends on how we look at creation and at the person. We speak about how a person relates to the Creator. As we learned, there's nothing more in reality except for the Creator and the created being, and everything else that exists that we see in front of our eyes. Those are things that happen only in this world, the imaginary world. So if we relate to it according to the true picture, meaning that in front of me stands only the Creator, and with him I need to correct my connection, my relationship, my adhesion, my compatibility with him, then of course it is only towards that me that I measure myself as the created being, and only by that can I see myself as either a felon or the opposite, one who merits good deeds. And when then do I determine that I'm a felon? When I'm in connection with the Creator, and I see that all of my actions, well, at least in part, are not aimed towards him, but rather towards myself, because there's no one else except for him and I. And we see how in this world people say, I'm a good person, I work for the nation, for the homeland, for the society, for the family, meaning towards various goals. This is what he sees with his corporeal eyes. Of course, all these things are false, because if one does not work for the Creator, one works for himself, and if he wants to work for the Creator, then first he directs himself towards the Creator, and then he turns to all the various means at his disposal, using them also to reinforce that connection, his connection to the Creator, seeing in all these things, even in disruptions, means by which to strengthen his connection with the Creator. As it is written, everything follows the intention, or everything is drawn after the intention, and so one who positions himself in a straight line towards the Creator, opposite him, and who wants to see his state, and of course he needs to examine how he relates to the Creator in every which way, and accordingly he determines who he is. And if he attests, if he says about himself that he's a felon because other than the person who can say these things are given to the heart only, no one outside can see it. If a person determines that he's an actual felon and a felon of Israel, meaning not, but the opposite, it's an indication that he truly delved into the depths of his qualities and intentions, and from that he can determine, meaning this is already a very, very significant degree, and from here, that is a springboard to the corrections. And of course, before he is a felon, he can never be righteous. As it is written, one does not stand on the matter of the commandment unless he first failed in it, meaning that in each and everything first comes the revelation of evil, the recognition of evil, and later doing good. As it is written, stray from evil, and do good and seek peace, meaning that he unites the right line and the left line together, and pursue it, meaning walking only according to the middle line. Yes, that's it. Any questions? Yes. If a person is called a felon of Israel, and he reached this degree, the felon of Israel means that he's exactly in a state where he can see himself to see if he's a felon. If he transgresses against, specifically meaning when the light comes and the person tries to be Israel, and with the light that comes to him he can see that he is the opposite. When is this apparent? It's exactly if you try to be as much as possible. Then you see only in that way if you focus your line of intention directly towards the Creator and not a little bit to the left or right. Then exactly with that line behind you see that you're not facing the Creator, but the opposite way, not but the opposite, you're facing yourself. It's as he says here, and we have this point here, that's the Creator, and this here is the person. Yes, and this is the shell. So if a person aligns himself not directly towards the Creator, he also misses the shell from various states, directions. But if he aims straight towards the Creator, then he sees the shell. If it's not towards the Creator, then he has various disruptions. But these disruptions serve only to return him to the line that goes straight towards the Creator. Therefore, until he is aiming himself straight towards the Creator, he cannot see himself as a fellow who's aiming exactly backwards. But it's the opposite. The shell exists. There's a shell opposite the right line, shell opposite the left line, and also a shell that corresponds to the middle line. Yes, what is correct critique or criticism during our state? Correct criticism in our situation in our state. If you ask, maybe you want to say that in our situation, how can we conduct proper criticism if we're incapable of establishing ourselves, situating ourselves exactly opposite the Creator? Truth is it's incorrect that we can't. You know, it's like on every degree in each and every degree, every profession, every age, there are things which if you do them, you're told what a great kid, what a good student, and later they say what a great expert, what a clever professor. Unique, special, each one is examined according to his degree, and there's this tolerance, how to say, difference, attitude, deviation, the ability to deviate from the true accurate line according to the degree he's in. If I'm on degree 10 out of 100, then I can deviate left to right, let's say 5 mm. And it doesn't count because I don't see. My vessels of perception are still very crude. So, if I'm within this tolerance where I don't feel the difference, then it's fine. We say it's fine. If I'm on a higher degree, well, you know, the Creator, as it is written, judges the righteous according to a hair's breadth. So if I'm in a state where we don't see, we barely feel even our efforts, even when we can't measure ourselves, examine ourselves, just the attempt, the effort is considered already 100% accurate. Right where I'm accurate, where I shoot straight when I hit the mark, even if I don't know if I hit it or not, and if I even aimed at the target or not. Just the effort. Because I'm not being criticized here. If I am not given light, if I don't see the target, if I don't feel it in any of my senses, then just the effort. My maximum effort, whatever I can do in this situation I'm in, that's already sufficient. So only the work itself. Yes, and so the fact that I don't see any feedback from it, that means that I'm under concealment, in concealment, and this is the work that I have to go through, without the ability to measure and to aim in such a way where I see it consciously, being able to measure with various senses and feelings, understanding, being able to weigh these things. I don't have it yet. That is called concealment. So this effort, like a baby, making an effort to do something, nothing more is needed of the baby. That's how we determine it with a person. As he grows, at every age has its own demands, and you can then tell if he's healthy, if he's developing properly. It's by age. You can't compare age 3 and age 10. Sometimes a mother approaches me with 2 children, one 10 years old, but developmentally usually it's a birth accident, lack of oxygen during childbirth, and one who is 2 years old but healthy. So, you look at the 2-year-old and the 10-year-old, how the 2-year-old is clever, how he acts, how he wants, how his ego is functioning correctly. He has a good connection between desires and ability to the extent that he has any ability. And the mother says, also look, he's 10 and that one is 2. There are such cases. I see them. So we are the 10-year-olds. That's how it is. Oh yeah, that's because he writes at the end of the article that later he has to make the criticism and not during the work. It's about this. It is written, what can you do with children who aged according to their degree of development. They're at the age where they were taught how to observe the commandments, and at 70 years old they perform the same commandments without adding anything. This is called a beast. Why? Because a newborn calf is liker an ox. He didn't advance. He's the same thing. He just aged. Children who aged. It is called. What does it mean that he writes at the end of the article? That he has to do the test, but not doing. The work has to examine it, but not during the work. I don't know what state exactly you're speaking about, but there is a state where a person makes an effort, and it is written not to conduct criticism during the work, meaning that if I'm doing the work, then I'm now investing all of my energies in this in order to direct myself correctly towards the Creator. And usually my efforts are my efforts, where I say if I'm not for me, then who is for me? And then I conduct this criticism, checking how to say, to what extent, let's say, to what extent my actions that I wanted to perform only by my own efforts were matching in keeping with my actions that I would have performed through adhesion to the Creator, meaning to what extent is my nature corrected according to or in comparison with the Creator. That is the measure of that is the matter of measuring. I don't know how to say this. We have a generator, and there's electricity, right? That comes to me from the electric company. So I check, will the generator supply me the exact same degree of electricity as the electric company company. I check with my devices, and then I can say that the generator is good. He's exactly like the electricity company. I connect my generator to all my devices. I use it. I check it with all my devices. That means a person is working with himself and says, if I'm not for me, who is for me? If he sees how his work is progressing. Now, instead of the generator, he takes the electricity from the electric company, and if he sees that there's no difference in the outcome, meaning that his devices are working the same way, the same accuracy, the same power, then he can say that he truly corrected himself and that he matches the source. We'll find more examples. That's it. No more questions. And here, I don't see anything. Here, maybe I'm not seeing right. Where is this? Yes. Here it says that the person has to do commandments before he reaches the truth. What does it mean, commandments? Right. Because commandments after he reaches the truth. I understand that he's working with screens, so it's commandments. But what is for him a commandment now before he reaches the truth? How can a person who did not acquire any screen, and all his intentions are of course to benefit himself, that's where he aims, then how can a person do the commandments before he reaches the truth? How can you observe the commandments before he acquires the screen and reaches the truth? So I said that on each and every decree our actions can be examined, classified perhaps as good deeds, proper deeds, bad deeds, according to degree. Of course, if I see a child, of course he doesn't do anything that's good and beneficial. Commandment what? Commandments not thanks. But if, according to his age, he does things which are age appropriate, then we say that he's trying correctly, making an effort and observing commandments. And if I see a big adult, then to be a normal adult, healthy and proper, he must perform greater corrections appropriate with his age, is status, the options he has. Everything is measured case by case. So when we're under concealment and we have no vessels, how can we perform commandments? Commandments you consider right now various actions that you try to perform in order to reach this compatibility with the Creator as it seems to you right now. That is called whatever is within your power to do, whatever is in your power to do that. Do what do you mean? Whatever comes to me. You don't know what comes and what doesn't come, and how to divide these things into good things, bad, beneficial, harmful, or just confused. This is called concealment. So, if you try in your situation, with everything that you have that happens to you on your path, if you try to turn that into a thing which benefits your connection to the Creator out of darkness, out of confusions, that means that you're observing commandments. Later you will be performing actions with the screen in order to bestow when you will know who the Creator is. Of course also only to a certain limited degree, but you will know and you will also know what your powers are, and you'll know means that you have available all the conditions. But for now, you perform whatever actions you're capable of performing, and you don't even know what you're capable of. You don't even know if you're doing them or not, but rather, it's an effort like a baby. We need to take examples from this life, and you'll see then how you'll be able to understand your situation just from studying life. Yesterday I was with a few of our people. The sonar. One of them was lying on his back, and then he turned on his stomach. Oh, what a great thing. Yesterday, my son sent me a recording of my grandchild, who is a half-year-old, how he turned from his back to his belly. Oh, look. I was impressed by what he's doing. Right, there is a difference. Yes, so this is a degree, and that's a degree. Nothing more is required of you. Just turn around a little bit from lying on your back to lying on your stomach. No more. It's just like that. Nothing is really required of us. Is there any glory to this? Any? Is it a heroic act of great wisdom? The truth is that the way we regard it is, even it's much slower than the example I'm giving even now. The demand from us, the demand made of us is according to our situation, according to our capability. If there's a desire in me that obligates me, can I actually judge and measure what's more beneficial to the Creator? You say, I have to consider it according to what's beneficial toward the connection with the Creator, except for unifying the state to Him. Can I measure anything? Can I weigh anything? You are correct. Meaning, can I measure vessels with which I can unite with the Creator? No, I truly can't. That's why it's written, everything within your power to do that, you should do. And certainly, I don't know what's more beneficial, what's less. Whatever comes to me, it's a sign that I'm being sent that thing, usually with various disruptions. Through the disruptions I need to find a connection to the Creator. Meaning, when I say sit and don't do, it's better there are states that only throw you off the path, meaning it's better not to do anything than to deviate from the path. How can I evaluate it? How can I evaluate what I'm doing now? Receive can spin it in such ways that, now, it's somehow beneficial to connect to the Creator. Sit and do nothing is better. That is in relation only to an act that you don't have any scrutiny for, no intention, an effort to scrutinize it as something that benefits your connection to the Creator. That's why it's called sit and don't do is better. You want to say, if I don't see the Creator, I can't aim myself towards Him, direct myself towards Him. That might mean my heart, my actions, and the Creator will follow the same line. Then sit and don't act is better. That won't be sit and don't do is better. Rather, you won't do what's upon you to do. Here in this very letter, he tells you, you need to aim yourself towards the Creator in whatever way you can. Me and my direction and the Creator and the whole mass and the Creator should be in the same line. How do I know the lie? The Creator. It's to the extent that I can scrutinize these 3 points, me, my path, and the Creator to the extent I can. But if I don't do it, that is called sit and don't act is better. If I do it with my maximum effort, my best effort, then it means that I'm acting. Question: how can I determine where the line passes between necessity and things that I do for the will to receive? How can I know I can sit at home? It'll be easier to connect to the Creator. How can I know? On the one hand, I can sit at home, and it'll be easier for me to connect to the Creator. And let's say I can earn money some way, or I'm told I need to work. According to what do I choose? You're asking me how in each and every state I can figure out the most beneficial action. How in each and every state I divide my possibilities between what's necessary, what's luxury. Certainly, here too our criticism, our own criticism, is enough. But the question is, as following in the criticism that I'm doing, am I using all the information that is in my possession, or am I closing my eyes and I don't want to use some of them in order to make it easier on me and not to put in the real effort? If I use the society and the RA and the books so that these 3 external factors will tell me precisely what I have to do compared to what my belly wants to do, I will truly, when I evaluate myself, I judge myself, I will stand in the middle. Neutral on the right, rar, society books. On the left, my ego, my laziness, my pride and all those beastly qualities of mine. And if I will stand in the middle as a true judge, and certainly you need nothing more. I have everything. The question is, am I certainly arranging this opportunity and this occasion objectively, independently as much as possible? But again, I'm saying in each degree it will look different. It will appear differently, but independent of me. Am I not lying to myself in arranging my decision this way? And if I know in that situation that I cannot emerge from myself, I can't accept these three things, and I demand power, do I receive? If you're unable to make a decision according to what your neutral judge is telling you, and you deviate meaning to the left side, into your belly, then you determine that you're a felon of Israel. And from where should I get the power to change this? How can I change? How can I change it? If you are standing and you determine the one who's in the middle, you determine that you lean toward to the left and you're just about to fall over in that direction, then you have an opportunity to grow stronger by increasing the right side. Rob society, books. You can turn to the creator. If I try all those and it doesn't help with these 4 factors, if you're not able to recruit them to help you, then I guess you're falling, and you learn from the fall how bad it is, how despicable, disgusting, how much it is opposite to godliness, how despicable according to the lusts that you're going to use in order to fulfill yourself, and then your study is through suffering. But it's sweet to me. How can I see that it's bad? It's sweet. You're right, but what the mind doesn't do, time does. They teach a person from above. They're not alone in this picture. There's another factor above you that arranges everything even before you make every action and every thought and every deed. So it's not clear to me why I was created. I'll tell you. But if you're asking, but if that's the case, then where am I here? And so on so forth. There's a multi-faceted calculation here. You are as a part of the body of Adam, and you must advance. You have incarnated into our time, and you are in a certain system in the human society. You do certain actions that throw you into a specific society that advances. In general, you're in it, and if the society advances according to how much you invest even in your ego, you invest in the society, you acquire spiritual force from the society. Also relative to the books, you have already some support where they give you, they offer you some support where in each and every state you invest in them, and they invest back into you. You cannot see every state as being completely disconnected. You alone individually are standing on the tip of the needle, and your decision is pure neutral, devoid of all factors. There are so many factors around you, and like it or not, they influence you to your own good. And I speak to your detriment. It was also like that before. So even when you fall, and there's no way from on your part to rise, nevertheless, it says one shall not fight forever. So they raise you. I want to focus the question, what is the point of a state where you see that you're in a train that's driving straight off a cliff, and you can't do anything? The more you try to use the means, you can't receive any power. The fact that they show you how in those special, you're going on to the wrong side, off to the wrong side. You're unable to stop yourself. By that they wish to teach you about your nature, how weak you are, how dirty, how out of control, and you have nothing. And if you don't receive from above or from the society certain support, by yourself, your stinking drop, as we call it, has no form, and it stinks. This is man at the beginning of his path. Everything outside of this drop is already in her work. But if this judge sits there, understanding intellectually that this is a bad situation, there's no benefit to it, let's change it, but there's no real will to effect change, then you're stuck. Intellectually, you understand that you're driving off a cliff. But in terms of what of your desires, you just flow along. There's no real will to change it. And this continues over time. How do you not give up in such a situation? It'll be okay. I can say the same about all the questions. Not that I have no answer. You don't you can hear it? I answered, already and again and again. In all of his letters he writes for our time, for our state, and the path is not yet showing us how to do. So he writes, do what you are capable of doing. Try, and the society must help you, and you will invest in it and try each time to aim yourself at the Creator, and don't despair from blessing you and all those bad instances. That's the process I see in. I see truth in all those states in the path. You'll see it later. Let's put it this way. Each and every state you're going through in double concealment and single concealment, you'll see how these states are completely calculated with utmost precision because they correspond to the end of correction. Each and every state that you must be in, where simply you can't overtake anyone or change anyone. Everything you feel and the depth of the feeling. This is simply the structure of your soul. You discover more and more the sides, seemingly in the structure walls. I don't know, partitions in this vessel. So, you're complaining right now. I guess you. It's like someone who put in a labyrinth, how do you call it? Maze, and you're walking around. You're running into walls and dead ends, and you constantly observe all these blows, each and everything that you run against, and you don't know how to advance, and you're making movements in the dark. All those things that down to the last level are completely calculated. How do you do it? You say, well, I'm being thrown around, but I'm doing well. How come you're doing it? And how are you being thrown around? You do those things out of the will to receive of yours that's revealed. So it's also working precisely, but seemingly opposite. We think that if I'm trying to work toward the Creator that I'm working precisely like this, or I try really hard, and my side is precisely aimed, and you think that the other side, the opposite side, where we fall, and we going through all kinds of lusts and things is not calculated. It's also precisely calculated, not less than what's up ahead. 2. It says that charity, good deeds, are necessary to reach love of others. What is that? What is that? What are those good deeds? That's the question. Same question. Oh, you got an answer. Why do humiliation and shame assist in the correction of the will to receive? Why humiliation and shame assist the correction of the will to receive? Because the will to receive, there's nothing wrong worse for it than humiliation and shame. Nothing is worse. This is the direct in the will to receive. Why? Because felt itself full of light, full of all the pleasures according to its will to receive. It felt a direct hit on the self, corresponding to its point of departure. It felt that it is from zero, from nothing, and compared to it, there was the Creator, the host that has everything, and he's giving her, but she herself has nothing. This is the worst transgression in what can be in, and pride, and the status, and the I, the self. It comes from the point of existence out of absence, that I am from absence. I am truly absence, and then you can give me everything in the world. I have nothing. That's why Rabbi always said about a woman, she has a closet full of clothes, 10 times the size of yours, and she says, I don't have anything. I have nothing to wear. You know, that's a spiritual root, meaning you have everything. One thing is missing, then I have nothing. That's a true feeling. That's what himself feels compared to what you created for me. The will to receive you. You gave me fulfillments, but this does not fulfill me at all. I feel that I'm not in your status, and I'm the opposite. Existence out of absence. That's what was revealed. That's what was revealed. The host compared to the guest, that is truly the opposite. And because all this fulfillment, it's truly restriction. I don't want it. It's not that it bothers me or doesn't bother me. It's not considered as anything. It's not valued. And I'm adhered or not adhered. I simply have such a deficiency, such a great deficiency, which is enough to do all the corrections, and I don't care, as if himself is the judge. I don't care about where am I going into what problems. I simply have to reach state the same state as yours, as you. That's it. No less. That's an example for flowing the will to receive, not the world to receive itself. How much fulfillment do I have or not? That's why Our world is called false world. We think that if I will fulfill the will to receive, I will lack nothing. On the contrary, the more I fill it, the more I discover its despicable nature, that he lacks the mean feeling. From here, we can see that there's no point chasing the fulfillment you need to chase the status, the stature of the will to receive its correction, as much as it can resemble suitable to the Creator, because other than that, it's full of itself. You can't fill it anymore. You don't need to fill it. You lack only one thing, this similarity to the host. All the other things are already there. You feel it or you don't feel it. But in this it's certain that will receive no fulfillment, only to truly reach the status of the host, and the fulfillment is concealed. So we will choose, we seemingly wish to have the fulfillment or to have his status, the status of the host it's called in order to bestow fulfillment, and lack thereof serves as a observation, the point of analysis. What am I yearning for? Meaning the first restriction is necessary. If I would not empty myself of the fulfillment, then I would have nowhere to check if I truly wish to be like the host. Am I doing something like the host? In other words, I have to unload myself of all the pleasures in order to build the reception of pleasures in order to bestow, because accordingly I can check and test, am I giving to him the way he's giving to me? Meaning, am I resembling him? If so, I have to perform a restriction, have to remain empty of fulfillment. But if not, for this means that in receiving order to bestow I giving something, this is the act of bestow, then I wouldn't need to become empty to restrict myself, except there's no other way to use to be like him. Can this point of choice, does it truly exist? Let's say I was in a state where for half a year my state didn't change because I didn't tie to the Creator. So now I'm supposed to look back and say that there's no one else besides him, right? No. Every single thing that happened to me over this past half year, did it really need to happen, or is it only because I didn't exercise my free choice? Is what's happening to me necessary? Does it have to happen? Or if it didn't happen, it had to happen. But if I related it to the Creator, then it wouldn't have happened. Yes, sir. Look, if I were like this, then it would be like that. And if I would be like this, it would be another way. These are your calculations. The true calculations are if I'm not from myself, who is in the beginning, and there's no besides him in the end. This is from page 25. I think the holy letters. Read the letter and see how he writes. In the beginning of the work you must say, if I'm not for myself, then who is? Meaning without any calculation, any consideration of the Creator. The effort is all mine, the success is in my hand, and I simply only I decide, and I do, and there's not besides me. He doesn't want to say it like that, but so he says, if I'm not for myself, then who is? Then that's it. But in the end you have to say there's nothing else besides him. Doesn't matter how I was there in the end calculating the entire process and the efforts and all those things. The purpose of creation was that I go through it like this, and I will do that, and I will reach that, and that's what happened. But in advance, the choice is not the choice to exert. The choice is to insert your effort. The profit is not from your effort, not from him deciding on your path. I know that even if I go to lie down all the time, or I will jump in the next moment, that's I decide or I don't decide. It's not important. I'm still in this nature. You should try to grasp that point at Vakar. What do we add by our thought? That we wish to act toward the Creator, and we wish to approach him and adapt ourselves to him. We add here a certain inner effort, in the desire, in the thought. This effort, in and of itself, builds in us what we call the soul. My will is my desire is not a soul. The light itself not the soul. The effort that I put in builds something new in reality. And it's not about whether or not I'll do it one way or another. You don't consider the will to receive and what will happen to it. You consider only your efforts. I think you might add now you can say, but how they said differential in mathematics. Let's say that there's the speed, and then there's the acceleration, where acceleration is differentiated, extracted from the speed. Right, you're not that great in math. Okay, what am I trying to say? These actions of yours are just velocity, speed. You're just going and doing all kinds of things. But there's also acceleration, meaning you're adding by yourself a little more, and only in this acceleration and this differential and this addition, they consider that and they gather all those additions, and that is how they create the spiritual vessel. Meaning if you go through this life without adding even the smallest effort in the right direction, this life is nothing. Meaning it's not like it's nothing. You still suffer and you develop is still vegetative and animate. There's also a certain process of development. The fact is that after 10,000 years, you're suddenly sit here and you want more of peace. If you weren't to add this acceleration yourself, you wouldn't be considered something that has changed. It's just nature. We could say about a cockroach that mill that was 1,000,000 years ago and he changed today. Did he do something? Certainly, there's a developmental process. Let's say I shorten the time. But if I draw it out, what do you mean? You're shortening time. In spirituality, time is not taken into consideration whatsoever. It's not in the process whatsoever. Rather, if you make an effort, you're in zero. You're dead. It doesn't mean that you're moving forward towards spirituality. You're not advancing. Only your efforts is counted. Your jumps above the line, the developing nature line, that's it. Acceleration is counted and not speed. Deviations from the speed that is counted. And the speed, it's like according to Einstein, even if there are millions of light years in a second, it's considered zero if it doesn't change. Correct. It's truly equals zero or not zero. Say anything that does not change is simply zero. So what can you say? Now make a calculation of how many times you jumped in life, and that's you. That's according to that later demand from the creator, according to one's meaning, according to one's sorrow, the effort that you wanted to intend to do something towards him. That's the sorrow or the difficult. It's not that you're just suffering. It's the beast that's suffering. That's not even considered. How many billions of people are suffering? What does Balasam say? Is there anything to take into consideration here? You can scream and say the creator is not okay. That is in nature. And there's no calculations with nature, because all the corrections after the first restriction is not nature. The effort on behalf of Malut to reach an adaptation to being to the. We live in a reality that has time. No, I don't want to talk in terms of there is time. That's not spirituality. Go to some professor, I don't know, another kind of professor, and talk to him. But if there's time as things happen, well, let's say, maybe towards spirituality nothing changes, but all right. So all kinds of things are happening. Well, what? The question is all these things that are happening. It's necessary that they happen. We have to learn something from them. 'Cause if I wouldn't connect at all, so it would all. How do I say none else besides him on everything? The scrutiny will come and the question will be more clear. Yes, so the acceleration that should be the constant state. Guys, you're too smart. Are going into scrutiny. I said I'm not yet in. Then, okay, so let's go back to our study. We only have a few questions. I nevertheless have to answer people that are far away, and they truly deserve our attention. Let's say from Ukraine, they're asking, when you see your opposedness from the creator, how not to run away. We need to connect to the books and the authors and to the RAF and the society. That is the not running away. Our bodily natural sufferings like old age connected to the the spiritual system. No, that's like a beast. It's a beast. We need to rise above our regular natural beastliness and then count what we have beyond that. This is from Minnesota someone. Do we need to correct the egoism in children before the age of 13? Or it's the opposite. We need to develop it. It's written that we need to relate to children according to their ways, meaning that we need to give them all the possibilities for development. A person's development is not in order to limit them nor to correct them. Rather, it is written. What does he ask? Do we need to correct the ego in children? There's no such thing that I'm correcting someone's ego, even if, God forbid, he's a small child. That's even worse. Rather, We're not allowed to do koan. There is no koan in spirituality. You cannot coerce anyone. Rather, we need to give example, and according to this example, they need to grow, and then they will decide on their own whether they need corrections or they just continue according to how they are. If I fall and don't suffer from falling, what's this meaning? Is this fall without suffering from me falling considered a fall, a descent, and is it considered advancement? There are many such falls that are certainly falls that you as you determine them. Yes, that's someone from America. So probably gradually all these falls, although for the time being it is below from our emotional level of being able to determine whether they're not good or not, and all these falls, and sometimes it seems like you even feel pleasures, but gradually you'll start to discern that they're opposite from the path from advancement, and then you will define that they are truly false and not just, meaning there will also be a feeling, not just an understanding, that it's the opposite of good. Let's summarize the main things we heard in the lesson. Just like you know all kinds of things, even in corporality, we measure and grow. Person grows even in sport, going to acceleration, where one adds. Those are those cases, those are the efforts person, where his intellect and his feeling physically even are grown for him. Also in spirituality, if we're in a certain regular movement, we don't advance, don't add, and don't try to come out of the usual, that derivative that was speaking about. So, one state that we feel that it's die. So, that's what we will reach eventually. If not, we want to come out before that, before the body dies so, and falls in the ground. We hear the love, what that we can hear what we heard back then and what we're hearing now. What a teacher, what he's saying, what it's just. He's just illuminating. So just great gratitude. That's an amazing lesson in general. The person's advancement is through the recognition of evil, through the recognition of opposites. He discovers the real correct direction, and this is according to the effort and exertions he makes and how much he aims his efforts in the right direction. He discovers the opposite direction as well, but accordingly, he can discover the correct direction, and a person grows him according to where he is and according to his efforts and his ability, and eventually a person comes to connection, a true connection. Exactly. We judge a person only in relation to the degree he's standing on. The FS of Israel who's aimed towards Israel. If you're not aimed towards Israel, you're not a fell. That means that you falling through the shells from any other disturbance is not considered felons of Israel only if you're aimed towards the goal itself against it. You receive disturbances, burdenings, and the sense. Our way to reveal the Creator, to reveal the truth, is through investment and through studies. The more you invest, the more we discover the evil, how opposite we are, and as much as we need the Creator's help, that He'll take us out of this state. He is the one that will lead us ahead towards a bestow. We heard that our advancement happens in acceleration and what we add above nature, above the regular things that we do. Every stage we advance is in darkness. And then main thing, when we read the article between us, I saw the end of the rope here. If we go in this giving of mercy and to others, I don't know, there's something in that direction. We have to scrutinize it in one of the times that we do it. Yeah, and he gives examples that are very strong examples. As he said, we're the 10-year-olds. So we just need to develop in our environment, and the 10 together with having to give this acceleration and develop. There's also this saying, sit and don't do is best. There is that, and what is that? Okay. He was speaking about speed and acceleration. So the question is, how do we know that we're accelerating? We have Deed's morning lessons. So is that acceleration, or is that a usual thing? So how can we check that we're really accelerating? Yes, only when we empty ourselves, we can see where we are and to want the state and not the feelings. Like a woman who never has enough. We're going to study from test part 4, answer 87. Continuing from the 12th type. We should say this, that if there's a difference between the descending, reflected light coming to an empty vessel without a beating, or if I say no, that he doesn't want to receive it he overcomes it. What does he overcome? That if a new light comes from. So that's all that's left, that's why he overcomes. The sparks have already came out. He can't receive any more. Which part? Well, it's not written. What is written? That those sparks disappeared. How much? What? He doesn't let us know. So, the 12th kind of reflected light is the above-mentioned sparks. Sparks after they have been put out. They do not illuminate anymore. How are they put out? They are sparks. We've learned that light that comes from the descending reflected light. Why do we say that they were put out? So he explains, after the illumination of the coupling left the upper phase, then the record overpowers them. The record overpowers them. So what's written here? We learned what is the beating, that it's two opposite forces to one another. Each one has something that the other doesn't have, and all the force of overcoming, that the sparks were falling, as there's an illumination on the coupling, and let's say it shines from phase 3 or phase 4, so it's only a record. The record that remained inside, he says, it comes out as the ontheot says, and the sparks enter the empty vessels, because the coupling was shining upon them. Then we learn that Mar ascended to Beaner, meaning also phase 3 was refined. So it turns out that everything about phase 4 on. Phase 3 came from the illumination of the coupling, but after that coupling departed. So what do we have on behalf of these sparks? Only records, meaning record of phase 3. Then again the record of phase 4 returns into the vessel, and the record of phase 3 come out. We find according to that the sparks would illuminate in the internality of the vessels. So the coupling departed. They do not shine inside the vessels. That's what he calls about the sparks that turned out. So there was the reflected light that came out, and the records that came before as on the letters they enter again. That's called the 12. Now look inside. The 12th kind of reflected light is sometimes that mentioned is the above mentioned sparks after they have been put out. When were they put out? Meaning after the illumination of the coupling left in the upper phase, or then the record overpowers them, because this record is from a higher degree than the ones that remain. 88. What are the 10 kinds of vessels in? 10 types of vessels in name. He's asking, so the answer is, the first is space for itself. What is space for itself? Receives in order to receive, over which the first restriction occurred. That's the essence of phase 4 called Malat. The second vessel, vessels of which are only the roots of the vessels. The third is the vessels from P downward, which are mixed with the lights. We learn that the tam that came from the vessels received in order to bestow. So there's an equal relation. That's why it's not called a vessel within a deficiency. The fourth is the above vessels from P and below after the departure. Why did the lights depart? Because they couldn't bestow any more to receive in order to bestow. So they receive. That's what we call the courses of malats. It's called receiving, not bestowing. So what is the fourth? Is the above vessels from P and below after the departure, which are distinguished as corselate. He calls them vessels. Now the fifth are the emptied vessels, are emptied of their lights and contain records. So we learn that phase 4 was the apparent vessel after the departure of the light. It's called the apparent vessel. So now he says, what is 5? He says it's the vessels that are emptied of their lights and contain records. The 6 are the vessels that are emptied of their lights and do not contain records. We learn that Mal does not leave a record. Everything Mal has, it receives what shines to her, that the light of the shines to the vessel of Malat. That's what he mentions, so it's not her own record. There's already a difference between a vessel with a record and the vessel of Malad that doesn't have its own record. So what we learned, he wants to clarify the words here, that he says that does not leave a record, and all the vessels don't leave records. So he says, why do we need a record? Because it needs to shine to the vessel under them, shines to the lower one, to the lower one. That's what the mentioned has no one to shine to. There is no discernment that the lower one gives, lets her shine. That's why the light of the record in order to let them all shine. We learned that yesterday, and the question is, what does that mean? What does it mean that it has no record of its own? Only a record of something below her. there is already inside. You won't understand that. That's, according to the alley. There's a lot of matters here. For instance, he mentions that the phase of Ket departed, and the light of illuminates. So we're lacking the light of. So he says that the record of Keter shines on the degree of when phase 3 was refined and only phase 2 illuminates. So we're lacking 2 lights. The records complete the tense fields when phase 1 was refined, lacking Biner. So the record of Biner shines to the vessel of Sanin when Zanin was refined to the meaning, the coarseness of root. So we say that the light of illuminates phase 1 on the degree of Malad, even though Malad was refined. Who should? What record will complete the tense fields? Because if the coarseness of root was refined and Ket, there's nowhere to illuminate to. That's why he said no one could illuminate, so it doesn't leave a record. There are more explanations S. But if you learn it this way, that's okay. The 7th are vessels prepared for the male phases of the second expansion. These are the records that remain in their vessels. The 8th are vessels that were prepared for the female phases in the second expansion. They came from the sparks. Parts of phase 3 fell into phase 4. We find the degree of to the degree of and the opposite. That from those sparks they caused vessels of females to expand. The 9th are vessels below the taboo, which are unfit to receive direct light. Now he was speaking until the taboo. Now he's speaking below the taboo. The 10th are the external vessels for the reception of surrounding lights. That he doesn't mention a lot. External vessels for the reception of surrounding lights. Item 77. The 10th kind. 77. The 10th kind is the external vessels for surrounding light. No surrounding light is received in a degree unless it is received from its upper phase from its opposite phase in the rush. Hence, it needs to receive a vessel suitable for this light, meaning the vessel should also be from the upper phase from its opposite phase. In the rush example, if the degree is from phase 4, it needs a vessel that will be from phase 3. What is he telling us here? He wants to explain external vessels for surrounding light. So he says a rule: no surrounding light is received in a degree unless it is received from its upper phase from its opposite phase in the phase 4 vessel. If the coupling that was performed on the of phase 4, this clee is called an internal clee, and what is above the phase that it's against it. Hence it needs a vessel suitable for this light, meaning the vessel should also be from the upper phase from its opposite phase in there. If the degree is from phase 4, what does it mean? What's the phase there? In a phase of phase 4, it needed an external vessel. It needs a vessel that will be from phase 3. If it is from phase 3, then she needs to receive, and from wanting to receive above the phase against her, from phase 2, etc. Therefore the vessels of surrounding light were called external light vessels, because from the perspective of the vessels, it is always considered that more refined is more external. 78. These external vessels are attained in the degree only by ascending to the degree above it. This is done during the ascent of the light to the einator. I'll tell you what's difficult here. We learned when the vessel became empty from phase 4, and the coupling was performed on phase 3, which is a vessel that is above it. This is considered a surrounding a vessel. Again, we learned that in the world of during the departure of the lights, vessels were made. So the makes a rule says a rule that to distinguish a vessel, it's considered that the light departed from it. The light departed from it 3 degrees, less of from 3, as if it's similar that the light did not depart from her. So he says they're like this. There was a coupling on the level of tamim of tastes. So Mal received the phase against her in Mal of the light of Nephish. But since she went through 5 vessels, vessels are from the phase of Nephish. Hence we say that there's of in the of there is the light of, and since the light of is only on 4 vessels, it only has that is in 3 vessels. There's only of. The light of is only in 2 vessels, and there's of, and the light of which descended to the of there was only 1, there's only the light thereof. Then the refinement took place, and we learned that refinement, there's a coupling that is happening upon phase 3. He comes and says, phase 3 is above her level. If it's above her, it's considered a refined light, a pure light, an external vessel, so she receives the surrounding of it. Since the coupling was done on the face, against the upon phase 3, now receives, and what was before the receives now one surrounding, instead of phase 3 the surrounding of phase 3, and then receives the phase against it, the phase, the, which is above the place of the coupling. It lacks but one light. It turns out that in Bina, there's now, there are 3 phases that are higher than her. It also attained. What did she attain? And before that the light of only had one vessel. 2 vessels in first stage, meaning, so now she already has, and then phase 3 was refined, and from now, phase 2 is in the coupling in the rush. Therefore receives the phase against her, and since this coupling upon phase 2, and one more external degree from Zampin, receives one surrounding, she's 3, and this is 2, it's called Pura, and more Pura it receives it as a surrounding, and Mal, since she is higher from her in 2 phases, 3 and 2 she receives the second surrounding, who it turns out that Malat had a place before her before the inner, and now she has 2 surroundings, so Malat is still not separated as into a vessel. And then he says that when the Zuk, the coupling, was on phase 1, which is called viewing of a or the observation of arc, then Malat receives the surrounding light. There it is distinguished as Malat into a, and there it turns out that Malat remained in 2 surroundings from the internal N. She had 2 surroundings that she had, and she departed. Whereas ascended in the Kli of, it turns out that is in the of near the, receives the higher degree from her, from Zari, which is Alf 2, and also receives the surrounding. So we understand that she receives from the vessel that's above her actual phase as a surrounding manner. What is hard for me, we learned. From phase 3 she receives the ascending reflected light and the beating and the sparks. From what phase is he talking now? That's the only thing that we have to explain. And we'll go to the next part of the lesson. Hello friends, we are entering our social time 2 lesson, in which we will devote our time specifically into making another inner step towards our preparation to the convention that will take place between the 19th and the 21st of February, and the topic will be connecting in the 10, adhering to the Creator. It's a subject that on one hand is felt that we're gripping onto it with our hands and we're dealing with it all the time, but it's very special to see how, specifically in our way on our path, the more we engage in something and truly need it and immerse them into ourselves, we simply open a new degree of deepening and attainment towards this topic and the state in our spiritual development. And what is especially special in this convention is to see to what extent how many friends are arriving from all over the world to the convention. We already have 500 friends that are coming to Israel to the convention, and we are still a month and a half before the convention, so just understand what numbers we're going to reach. We are assuming that we'll reach 700, but we're already talking about 800 that will come. It's already above 40 countries. And of course, in addition to the convention here in Israel, there will be mirror conventions around the world, a virtual convention on the system. But there is no question whoever has the possibility and the resources to come to Israel must do it. It's really a stepping stone on our spiritual path to reach our spirituality. And you have to at least once come here and experience this power of all, globally operating him, bringing light upon him and simply uplifting him to a place that he hasn't experienced so far, or she hasn't experienced so far. So, whoever hasn't done this so far, you have to pick this checkbox off for your spiritual development. And whoever has, you know that you just enter, you register, you buy a ticket, and we'll meet you in a month and a half. Something we should really internalize from now is that the 10 is the center of the Congress. It is the main actor in this spiritual event. And we saw yesterday there was a lot of inspiration from friends here from 24 years ago starting to speak. You should gather in groups, but he's in my department. He's working with me. Allah starts really explaining the first roots and what we were able to hear. If we were able to hear more, we'd see that for 2,000 years, the speaking about the connection in the tense. So we were rewarded in this generation to start implementing what this thing called a 10, to work together in a connection in the 10 in order to discover the Creator. That's why this Congress connecting in, the 10 adhering to the Creator. That's our peak moment. It's the beginning that we're already aware of our state. We went through so many preparations in order to reach this moment where we implement, meaning the Congress is time of realization, and that's why preparing a lot so we can really reach that realization and come out with a special result. We can ascend on a spiritual degree even a bit more in connection with the Creator. So before we dive into the lesson itself, because today we're going to prepare for the first lesson of the Congress, so it's important to see the big picture. Where do these 3 days take us? So we have a slide. We have 3 days of a convention. On Thursday, we want to lay our foundations. Then we want to learn how to work with disturbances in the last day to reach one vessel, one desire. So the first lesson, the topic is a 10 is a requisite for adhesion. That's starting from the base. There's no spiritual work on it. So the 10 is our vessel to work with. Before you in a 10, there's no adhesion. The second lesson you have made mean is already dealing with adhesion. So we are building the vessel of the tent, and then the light does its own thing the next day. Lesson number 3. What stops us from truly connecting? We'll try and observe in a more mature way through the eyes of the Christ to see what's disturbing us from connecting between us, and we see that it's the same ego, and we'll learn how together we can rise above it. Lesson number 4. Continuing in the 10. That even though it's difficult, we learn how to hold the connection between us. It's through the between us. It's how we're turning that mutuality into a mechanism of work. The last day, lesson number 5, we are going to reach a prayer from within the tent. We're going to learn how to take our common desire and work with it. Rise it to the Creator. Raise it to the Creator. So lesson that is entirely prayer. The last topic. Lesson 6 is making a covenant in a tent. Commit to a connection between us no matter what ascents or descents. 10,000 states the Creator is going to take us through even in 1 minute. We're going to continue together towards the Creator. After we heard the general picture of all the convention lessons and alto together about the package of the convention that we're going to receive during these 3 days, let's hear a little bit more precision from Raf that, well, show us the difference between the convention and the lessons we have every day. What's the uniqueness of what we can take out of the convention that we can't specifically hear in the lesson? Number 2, how to feel the difference between a World Congress to a morning lesson that depends on you, where there's no difference between the lesson and a convention. In the convention, we all come and connect everyone with a special effort to be in one Kli called Adam, similar to the Creator. Every single lesson can be like a mini convention, but that's what is daily. It's not something that you do once in a few months. It's not the same. Nevertheless, we need to understand that what we receive, these conditions come to us from above, and we need to receive them even though we don't understand above our, and to try to connect with them. A way that, like Rush writes about the friends, this broad round of thousands of powers will not separate between us the miles that won't separate us. That's what we need to do, and I'm really asking, I'm even warning you, don't miss the opportunity. Make an effort together. The fact that each can here and there do some efforts to connection, it's not enough. We need to bring ourselves together, all of us, to one connection and to a prayer from the connection to the Creator, and then the heavens will open up. So now is our opportunity to bring ourselves to that one prayer towards the Creator till the heavens open up. So let's discuss between us what we're getting in this Congress, in the work in the 10 that I can't get in the daily lesson. What am I getting in the work in the Congress that I won't get in the daily lesson? We have 6 minutes for this workshop. What are we receiving in the convention? Work with the 10 that I don't receive in the daily lesson. Just like Rav said, we connect with all the world Kli, in which the Creator will be revealed, and we build the prayer that is for everyone, for the whole in the Congress, taking that acceleration towards love, connection to the Creator, straight to the Creator without the shells, It's in the multitude of people that the glory of the King we have an opportunity to receive the yearning, the longing of the whole world clean together, something that you don't have every day. That's that compression, where the quantity becomes quality, to just toss ourselves in there and that. The Creator will cook us together, it seems like in the convention mostly. You have the surroundings, as we say that. We are as a 10 together, but around us, many people, with a very great general effort that each and everyone made in order to each put his point in the heart with all his might and all her might in this convening, and we in the 10 we truly feel it, how it draws you, how you go with this flow. It simply uplifts us to be both together and to be more aimed correctly. In the Congress, we feel the whole world. The whole world is in Israel, and in Israel, it's going to be the center of creation. This entire convention is the center of creation because all of Israel, the whole world clear, are convening at a certain time, the same place where everyone is accelerating and preparing and increasing our efforts and the preparation from one day to the next until that critical point where we all convene in one intention to connect between us and the Creator. This force will be felt, and we need to contribute our part and to annul and dissolve and incorporate with the whole world clay, and this incorporation with the world clay with so many friends that are coming, it's very strong and very exciting. We see this beautiful implementation of the wisdom of Kabbalah that is truly expanding through all the nations, and we live it and feel it, and incorporating with all the deficiencies of all the friends is in everything we do, even in the preparation for the Congress and the Congress. It's incorporating with the strongest force we have, which is the world that is coming for this great action of connection. The convention is that very acceleration that we talked about in the previous lesson. We go out of this normally and we move to a different dimension, much more powerful and fast. In the convention we get a lot of lights, a lot of impressions from the friends, so it's a different feeling. It's as if you're already in wholeness, whole with everyone and with the Creator. We usually talk a lot about what I receive, what we receive, but to receive, you need to give. We need to prepare the vessels, specifically in the convention where everyone's bestowing, everyone's giving, everyone's open. We have a true vessel to receive light from above, and this result can only come from preparation. Okay, friends, after the scrutiny that we understand, that we receive in the convention such powers that we don't have, more than the morning lesson where all the points in the heart convene from all that are around the world, and it appears like many more will be coming to this convention. There's going to be our A force of power that we haven't experienced, and we'll feel what it is to be. So we want to enter lesson number 1 of the convention, the 10 as a requisite for adhesion. We'll explain that in the convention we will be reading articles that 10s will be leading us with a very special process in the lessons. These materials are already on the convention site. You can enter and prepare. What will we do now during these live lessons in the last part of the lesson? During this whole period of time we will go over the topics of the convention itself, the topics of the lessons itself. I'll explain meaning if the first lesson its topic is the 10 as a requisite for adhesion. We won't read the article that we'll be reading in the convention itself, but rather we prepared 10 excerpts that explain what the 10 as a requisite for adhesion is. So we'll do this every day and we'll prepare ourselves this way, and the convention will have an article that we're going to go through as well. So let's start by reading excerpt number 1, and we'll take a little taste of what expects us in the convention. Writes, we need a society that will form a great force, so we can work together on annulling the will to receive called evil. It hinders the achievement of the goal for which man was created. For this reason, society must consist of individuals who unanimously agree that they must achieve it. Then all the individuals become one great force where one can fight against oneself, since each one is incorporated in everyone else. Thus each person is founded on a great desire to achieve the goal, to be integrated in one another. Each person should annul himself before the others. This is done by each seeing the friends' merits and not their faults. But one who thinks that he is a little higher than his friends can no longer unite with them. Explain simply what we learn every day, and know and understand that what disturbs us from reaching the goal is our ego, the intention to receive, and we can deal with it on our own. Nobody can work against that force on their own. That's why we need a society, meaning it's not just a social fun connection. Society is people that the Creator chose, them, people with points in the heart, and He gave them a divine spark that every day they ignited more, and together we aim ourselves towards the goal. We build the right direction. We aim ourselves towards the Creator, and our force together can help us overcome that ego, can help us lift up our forces. Is by leaning on each other and not each one on their own. By that we're building a common desire, and for that connection to be sustained. So he writes each one should annul themselves before the friends. Annul before the friends to see their merit, to look at my friends in the tent, and to forcefully search for the good, for their virtues, that I can see that it's concealed from me. They are perfect, because the Creator chose them. That's our work constantly, to overcome, to search for the good, and the friends, to annul ourselves before them as much as possible. Then from that spiritual force, from all their efforts, from those accelerations, those small derivatives that we give more and more, we start feeling the common force. That's what creates that feeling of a 10 between us, and not just a regular group. It's a 10 that we feel ourselves together, and in the 10 only there we can start feeling the adhesion. Maybe we'll read that excerpt again, and then if the friends have questions about that or the congress, so they're also invited. Also say yesterday in the 10 we read article, I forgot which one it was, about the importance of the Torah. There was a quote there that Rash quoted is, and he said the Creator will shine upon you. I went all day with that slogan, on you. The Creator will shine. And I saw how sometimes you read the source in just a few words, the heart just opens. Something in your stomach starts turning. When we read the sources, that's a time of our realization. So, let's read what says again. It's now he's saying it. Now we're doing it. This is a time of the work. He writes this. We need a society that will form a great force, so we can work together on annulling the will to receive called evil, as it hinders the achievement of the goal for which man was created. For this reason, the society must consist of individuals who unanimously agree that they must achieve it. Then, all the individuals become one great force, where one can fight against oneself, since each one is incorporated in everyone else. Thus each person is founded on a great desire to achieve the goal, to be integrated in one another. Each person should annul himself before the others. This is done by each seeing the friends' merits and not their faults. The one who thinks that he is a little higher than his friends can no longer unite with them. If anyone has questions, feel free to put your hands up here in the study hall. Put your question marks in the world, and in truth also in the lesson when we heard today from Rav. It was very special to see how Rav guides us. We're on each of our behalfs. Each just needs to try, and the more you try, the society fills you with forces and enables you to do the impossible. And from the forces it enters in you, you manage to make this breakthrough each time towards spirituality against the desire, so that to this attempt to rise above reason, above our normal, how much we're trying every moment to bring our additional, that which does not come to us on behalf of our nature. Let's start with first question from French. Says that we need a society in order to it the great force, and only from society he gets that force. So what does it mean that if in the 10 somebody's going through difficulties, how can we give him more forces as a society? First of all, whoever doesn't know, it's the son of Jacob. From PT3, of course, he's very. So look what a burning friend to absorb. From MH, we have a friend that we see doesn't have forces now. So it's a sign that now we have more work to complete. What? He doesn't have to give him forces to be an example, to pray for him, to push him ahead into that spiritual effort. That's how it works in the 10. There's friends that up, friends that are below. Like in a dance, we're always going through those motions, and the Creator makes it in a way that there's always going to be a balance between us. There's always some that have forces and some that get in addition of coarseness, and that's the purpose, the role of that friend. He has to bring the coarseness into the tent, and against that, whoever has forces now should take it and turn it into a prayer to the Creator so he can respond upon it. If also there's no such thing as a difficulty of one, it's a difficulty of the whole 10. If we were to fill ourselves as one body and each represents an organ and also each day, they would change. One day I'm a head, one day I'm the heel, then we would feel the pain of the friend, his difficulty like our difficulty, we would all be recruited to the benefit of this friend. So we truly need to feel ourselves together and to demand from the Creator, as if it's truly like one small finger hurts me and the whole body feels it. Same way if there's a difficulty for my 10 for my friend in the 10, the whole 10 is recruited for this one in Moscow. We're getting ready for the Congress. We bought tickets and we have a question. We want in a maximum most effective way to prepare, but on the website there's older materials. Maybe it wasn't updated yet, maybe in the Russian language. If you could explain. Okay, I'm sorry, maybe technically it wasn't updated in all the languages. We'll check today, make sure that all the materials appear there. Prince in principle, all the articles are ready for the convention. Also the preparation materials that we're going through in the lessons now are ready, and it's very good that you're already kind of driven to prepare great advice from Raf before every convention. Read the study materials even more. Read it together with the 10, and to truly prepare yourselves not just for this, also the songs will appear and go over the schedule, know exactly what's going to happen to prepare. There's no surprises like Raf said. We want to know exactly what's about to happen. All the innovations, all the changes and surprises are in my heart. What I discover in the relations and the connection between us and the 10 in relation to the Creator, the ego sees himself greater than the friends. How can we determine that inside us? How to determine that inside me? The ego will own we just can't constantly grow. That's its nature. That's the nature we exist in altogether. And how do we against it operate in order to increase our inclination towards bestow the quality of bestow that we want to merit? It all depends on how much we invest in the 10, how we create the influence of the environment upon us, which is what we appreciate. We appreciate the stolen adhesion to the Creator above anything else in life, and against the Creator, we'll see constantly that more we need to appreciate, then he will bring us more of that will to receive that go and cover it, and we will have to again rise above and rise above until we will manage to cover the whole will to receive in reality. Let's hear Love in clip number 4, how he speaks about the place for every one of us and the vessel of the tent. Please, towards the convention there's this great excitement, this inner excitement, the great desire for us all to unite to one heart, for us to bring contentment to the Creator. What would you feel? I feel this each one should depict himself as the last one from the whole huge group. Each one needs to depict himself as the one who has to help the others to see the other as greater than him. Each one has to make sure that he goes ahead towards the Creator, and as a result, we during the Congress need to start feeling ourselves as connected and like a body, and then we'll have success. So we will continue to exert number 2. Mash writes, it is known that in every 10 there is there, and this is a complete level. In a complete level there are head, hands, legs and heels. It follows that when every person regards himself as nothing in society, then he regards himself as a heel compared to the society, while they are the head, the body and the higher organs. When each one thinks of himself in this way, they make the gates of abundance and every lushness in the world open up to them. And the most important is that righteous, who can best grasp a discernment that is more null than all of them. Through him, all the abundance flows. So we too inside our 10s, we are actually a whole Klee, although we are different and each has his uniqueness. With that, as we operate towards one another and we start to be in a common inclination towards our goal, we begin to be built as a vessel in which the Creator can dwell, and each of our work is to be that zero in the tent, not to stand out, not to be the one who jumps forward and goes and forcefully wants to draw everyone On the contrary, to do everything out of annulment, out of subjugation to the 10, out of this desire you have to be this loyal devoted servant to them. That all that you do, you get up in the morning only so that your 10 will enter spirituality. That is our investment. That's the purpose of life. And for it, you're marching on this path. And even when I feel myself truly as a heel, this enables me to be the head, to be the body of the 10th, to be the one that leads them, and leads them not from my egoistic tendency to be in control or the ruler over them, on the contrary, but to be a bestower, to be the one that all he wants is to simply invest in his 10 so that they will build their adhesion even more in the Creator. And when we all work in this way, and begin to develop this way towards one another, we truly create between us a vessel that becomes suited to the Creator, a vessel within which we can have him enter and dwell. So we want to be the heel, the lowest part in the body. On the other hand, it carries everything. On that's the righteous, that is none, compared to everyone. Let's read again look at the wonderful words. Really liked his writings, always mentioned that. So I gathered all of his beautiful excerpts from there, also in a booklet that is translated into a few languages. It's called With a Burning Heart. So look what he writes about the 10. It is known that in every 10 there is there, and it is a complete level. In a complete level there is a head, hands, legs and heels. It follows that when every person regards himself as nothing in society, then he regards himself as a heel, compared to the society, while they are the head, the body and the higher organs. When each one thinks of themselves in this way, they make the gates of abundance and every lashness in the world open up to them. And the most important is that righteous, who can best grasp a discernment that is more null than all of them. Through him, all the abundance flows. I see that we have Turkey. It's a nice sign. We didn't reach the 10 as a pair, but let's go to Turkey 1. Thank you, friends. How can we accelerate the momentum? Accelerate our momentum. I think you, specifically, are a very special example of a friend who is constantly accelerating the efforts that you're making, the actions that you're doing by investing yourself, and every opportunity there is, I see on the screens. If it's in the afternoon lesson, in the morning lesson, if it's when there are events here in Israel, even for one day, you come for unity. Evening, you come, you give your investment, you give your effort, and go back into your 10. And what's also beautiful to see is that also when you come and you bring your 10 with you. And it's from here you're operating constantly to immerse the force that you attain here in them. So our ability to constantly accelerate is to take all the means we have and to understand that no matter what I do, no one will do for me. That's the calculation I have to do every morning. I knew I get up in the morning if I want to attain the Creator. What do I do today? That will bring me closer to that. What am I doing today that only I can do and no one can do in my place? And to constantly be in those examinations, constantly in scrutinies. Because the more we put these efforts, that's what the Creator checks us. Yeah, as we learned this morning about the acceleration, every moment to accelerate, to add even a bit more in my intention. After we understand that the 10 is the vessel for adhesion with the Creator. That is the goal. We can't forget the goal to put together a nice society. We came here to put a 10 together that will adhere to the upper force with an opportunity to accelerate. That's quote number 3. Ash writes, the friends should primarily speak together about the greatness of the Creator, because according to the greatness of the Creator, that one assumes, to that extent he naturally annuls himself before the Creator. The friends' discussions of the greatness of the Creator will awaken a desire and yearning to annul before the Creator, because he begins to feel longing and desire to bond with the Creator. And we should also remember that to the extent that the friends can appreciate the importance and greatness of the Creator, we should still go above reason, meaning that the Creator is higher than any greatness of the Creator that one can imagine. We should say that we believe above reason that he leads the world in a benevolent guidance, and if one believes that the Creator wants only man's best, it makes a person love the Creator. until he is rewarded with. And you will love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul. And this is what a person must receive from the friends. So Abash says that the friends need to mainly speak about the exaltedness of the Creator. We want to talk about it, now to discuss, to accelerate in it. He also finishes that sentence that a person has to receive from their friends. Not only talk to them, also receive to hear that matter from them. So let's take these last few minutes that remain and we'll have a short workshop between us. Each one in one sentence talks in his turn about the greatness of the Creator, what the friend after him, the friend that comes after, and somewhat will open what he got from the greatness of the Creator. And add his sentence. Let's say I speak about the greatness of the Creator. Agoka will say what he heard from me, and will add his sentence, and so on. Let's take 3 minutes for this, please. The Creator gathered us together so that we will reach the goal to build the. He gathered us. He gave us like a great leaders who come to a state that there's more zero, and we're transferring light to the friends. And that's all thanks to the upper force that leads us to that correction. This is the upper force, and the Creator gives good friends. This is great. Yeah, and it's written here in what we read that the Creator only wants for the benefit of a person. The Creator only wants the benefit of a person. That's what we always have to remind each other in the 10, that everything that happens is for the benefit of the person. He's the good who does good. And let's connect and feel his goodness. Yes, we'll connect and feel the goodness of the Creator and feel all the greatness of the Creator in this convention with so many friends and so much yearning that we want to feel what this is. I got greatness of the Creator from all the friends now, and the Creator is great. It's not just that you receive, but you're also giving it to others, and this is how we build a Kli, that the Creator is behind the scenes. So dear friends, 19th to the 21st of February, we will gather here, and the whole world, and the system to our convention, connecting to in the 10, adhering to the Creator isn't yet registered or wants to get more details can enter the convention. We got one site in the convention. We will also strengthen to health fund. It's in there as well. Give that one. And now from 10 a prayer rises. You friends, in the first part of the lesson, we will watch a recorded lesson from the 27th of February 2003. This will be on Abasher's Article 33. The felons of Israel, which we will now be together in the 10, who have finished reading earlier, are welcome to start a workshop summarizing the main points of the article. The fence of Israel, said the FS of Israel, the light of hell does not cover them, much less from the altar of gold. The FS of Israel are full of commandments like pomegranate, as it's written. Your temple is like a slice of pomegranate. Do not pronounce it your temple but empty, and you are full of commandments like a pomegranate. All the more so concerning the fence of Israel, we should understand with respect to whom they are called the felons of Israel. 1 is that with respect to the Torah. 2, with respect to the whole of Israel, that they are regarded as the felons of Israel. 3, or with respect to the individual himself, that is he sees and feels about himself that he is the felons of Israel. Superficially, it is difficult to see how one can be full of mitzvot. He regarded as the felons of Israel. If we interpret this with respect to the person himself, we can say and interpret, quote, although they are full of commandments like a pomegranate end, quote, to mean that he sees that he is still the felons of Israel. We should interpret pomegranate through the word deceit. That is, he sees that he is deceiving himself, meaning that although he is full of commandments, namely, he sees that he has nothing more to add in quantity, and according to his efforts, he should certainly have been Israel by now, meaning straight towards the Creator, where everything is for the Creator. Yet after his self-scrutiny, he sees that he is deceiving himself, that the main reason he engages in Torah and commandments is self-love, and not in order to bestow contentment upon his Maker, which is called, meaning that all his work goes straight to the Creator. And since he saw that all his work was Only in order to receive he saw that he was a felon with regard to Israel, that is, he does not want his work to be for above, called in order to bestow on the Creator. Rather, all his work is on the basis of heaping everything below, which is regarded as a receiver, because the receiver is regarded as being of inferior importance, and the giver is of superior importance. This extends from the root. Since the Creator is the giver, he is regarded as above. The creature who receives from the Creator is regarded as being of inferior importance. Hence, if his work is in order to receive, is regarded as wanting his work in Torah and commandments to remain below, meaning in reception. And this is called transgressing in the aspect of Israel. For instead of serving the Creator where he wants to work to bestow upon the Creator,